Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I am privileged to welcome for a second time a very senior and tall corporate leader from Kolkata, India, Mr. Partha Sarathi Bhattacharyya. Mr. Bhattacharyya, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Mr. Bhattacharya is the former chairman of Coal India Limited, and he's the current chairman of the Peerless Group. He's an author of a book titled When Coal Turned Gold. He's been featured as one of the transformation leaders of corporate India, and given the incredible track record he has had, understandably, he has been recognized, felicitated, and awarded several times. So welcome once again to my show. And the first question I want to ask you is, how did your tenure as chairman of Coal India shape your views on the future of coal in the Indian and global context?
Thank you, Mr. Garg, for that question. And of course, thank you for that very generous introduction. I became chairman of Coal India in 2006 and continued till February 2011 when I retired. That was the time when coal sector was going through a tumultuous kind of a change. And the basic reason for that were twofold. One was that the power sector, which is the main consumer of coal, while they were trying to, sort of get their act together and increase back capacities or the generating capacity at a fast pace, that they were trying to do that since 1991 economic reforms. Because power sector was taken up for reforms immediately after the economic reforms started.
Right.
So, but for the next 15 years, till 2006, nothing much happened. I mean, they were not getting their act together. The capacity addition used to hover around 3 to 4 gigawatts per year. That was the max. The coal sector was growing at a commensurate pace, 5 to 6%. So there was not any major mismatch between the demand and supply. Now, come 2006, the power sector got its act together for the first time and escalated the capacity addition from 3 to 4 megawatt to 11 gigawatt.
Wow.
3 to 4 to 11. That was the pace. In fact, if you see that 5-year period, the 11th plan period, as we call it, those used to be the 5-year plan periods. The capacity addition was as high as 55 gigawatt, as against 15 to 20 in the earlier plan. So once they got their act together, coal demand started rising exponentially. The other thing is the reforms in the coal sector lagged a lot. The basic reforms was opening up the coal sector, getting in more players. That had to wait till 2017-18. Well, very recently, the thing has opened up and commercial mining has started. That should have happened at that time, in 2006-7. Because of these two reasons, the gap between the demand and supply was exponentially rising, and we had to meet everything through imports. The imports rose from a level of near zero, thermal coal I'm talking, rose from near zero to about 200 million tons by the time I left Coal India. So that was a huge pressure. That's one. Second problem that came up was coal was people started looking at coal as a dirty fuel, and the environmental implications, the greenhouse gas implications, and therefore the use of coal was not very liked worldwide. There were some headwinds coming. It had started coming. So the response of Coal India during that period was twofold. One, on the environmental side, we actually did a lot of research. And we also engaged the NRSA, National Remote Sensing Agency. Through a satellite surveillance, we established very clearly that coal mining in India was actually not anti-environment. As far as the land usage is concerned, as far as land restoration, reclamation is concerned, things are quite in order. As a result of these efforts, 50 of our mines could qualify for ISO 14001.
Wow. In
fact, this we had to do more, not really to silence the environmental critics, just like that, but because of the IPO. The IPO would have tanked if our environmental credentials were not established properly. So this one helped us in getting the IPO a great success. So with that in view, we did all this. We also did, as far as forest is concerned, we showed very clearly that yes, certain amount of forest diversion happens because coal deposits occur beneath forests. But at the same time, for every 1 acre of forest land consumed in coal mining, we have created at least 2.5 acres of high quality forest. So that point also got established, and these 2 points were lapped up by the investors globally. And they liked the whole thing there. The story got somewhat changed. So I would say Coal India during my tenure addressed the issues to the extent possible and created a base for Coal India, which was to continue for some time.
Fascinating.
The basic problem that remained was the shortage. The shortage was looming large because the reforms in opening up the coal sector was not happening. So that continued for a while. Till about 2015, when the new government came, they opened up partially. Initially, they opened up partially for captive mining. They started auctioning the mines. So that resulted in some improvement, but not too much because the auction conditions were not so good.
Right.
Subsequently, the auction conditions were revised, were taken up for a revision through a very high court committee. I was fortunate to be a permanent invitee in that committee. So the new rules which were framed were more friendly towards the investors. And that came into force sometime in 2018-19. Since then, lots of blocks have been allotted through commercial mining, and some of them have already started producing.
Right.
More will come to production. And therefore, the coal supply situation, demand supply gap situation is very likely to be over. I mean, it is nearly over now. It will be completely gone in the next 1 or 2 years. So we have come to a self-sufficient situation.
Incredible.
As far as coal is concerned.
Incredible. That's an amazing story. And for all my viewers and listeners, in the previous conversation with Mr. Bhattacharya, he spoke a lot about leading India's largest IPO. So those of you who are interested, go and check out Mr. Bhattacharya's conversation with me about the IPO that he just briefly referred to. Moving on, sir, how has coal shaped the trajectory of India's economic growth over the last 2 centuries?
Again, thanks for that wonderful question. See, basically, for any kind of development, growth, industrialization, we need energy. Energy that should be freely available within the country. And India is fortunate to have abundant resources of coal. But India is unfortunate not to have abundant resources of any other fuel. Right. Like we don't have too much of gas, neither we have too much of oil, particularly which can be extracted in a viable manner. We do have a KG-D6 or something. But there again, there are so many restrictions. We can't, we are not abundant in those resources.
Yes.
So the only resource we have is coal. And therefore, quite early in the game, sometime in 1970, there was a high court committee which examined India's energy options and identified coal as the mainstay. And therefore, all efforts were made right from that time. The nationalization of coal, the pumping of public funds and things like that, to make coal an important provider of energy security in the country. Even today, with so much of renewables coming up, so much of investments having been done, coal still commands a 72% share in the total, energy basket for the power sector. 72% share is coal. So coal has actually contributed hugely. And I think we are only next to China in this matter. China has done even better. I mean, for more than 50, 60 years, they have developed coal to become the mainstay in the energy scenario. And coal has contributed hugely to their economic development. And out of all the fossil fuels, coal is the least cost item. So therefore, a least cost development strategy is what coal can bring for a faster development of an economy at the least possible expense. So I think China exactly did that and see the competitiveness of Chinese economy. I think one of the major factors for the competitiveness of China's economy is this low-cost coal-led development for the 50, 60 years. And even today, whatever people may say, I mean, they are still doing more than 4 billion tons of coal. They consume 4.3 billion tons, but the production now, they're pegging at 3.7, 3.8 billion tons. So that's what it is.
Amazing. But also, Mr. Bhattacharya, there are challenges that the world is now talking about. And I was speaking to somebody in Australia the other day about solar, and he was saying Australia is now 50% renewable energy. My question is, what are some of the key challenges faced by us in India's for our coal sector, especially in the context of global climate change?
Again, a very pertinent question. See, let me address it this way. Basically, if you see the economies, if you group the economies as advanced, middle income, and lower income categories, then in the advanced economies, what happens is, if you are creating because they have now come to a point of saturation, every 1 gigawatt of renewable capacity that you create, it displaces certain amount of fossil fuel based capacity.
Correct.
Corrected for the PLF difference, because renewable energy, renewable power plants have a lower PLF because sun doesn't shine 24 hours or wind doesn't blow 24 hours. So therefore, there is a PLF adjustment that requires to be done. For every gigawatt, at the highest point, maybe 0.5 gigawatt of fossil fuel-based capacity can be displaced. And that continues. So every addition leads to some displacement.
True.
As the income level goes down, say, I'm talking the first category is 8,000 to 9,000 or 10,000 units per person per year. That's the per capita consumption of the advanced countries.
Right.
Now you come down to maybe 5,000, 6,000 level. One big example is China. There what happens is, if you add renewable capacity, you can put a check on the fossil fuel-based capacity. Fossil fuel-based capacity doesn't grow. All growth comes from renewable. And there is a plateau in fossil fuel production and consumption. That is where China seems to be reaching very close. In fact, last year, in 24, the share of coal-based power generation in China fell to 53% from 60% previous year.
I see.
So they have started falling, which means coal is now reaching a plateau. Now come to countries like India. We are at 1,300 units as compared to 5,000, 6,000. We have a long way to go.
Correct.
So if this is the situation, then any addition to renewable capacity will actually complement addition to coal-based capacity. It cannot nullify. Right. So both will have to grow, and that will continue for quite some time. Now the situation is, this trajectory of energy transition or energy development, this roadmap is definitely going to attract huge headwinds.
Right.
Because the world is trying to phase out from it. So that's a big challenge, how to meet that headwinds. So now, if you want to ask another question, I'll reply to that. How we can do it.
I'm with you completely.
Okay, fine.
But, and it would help to be able to understand how will we be able to manage some of these challenges. And I'd appreciate your answer.
Great. So the issue is that we have to increase our coal consumption, and therefore we have to be a large emitter of carbon dioxide. We can't help that.
Correct.
If we try to control that artificially, it will mean development goals will tend to go haywire. Our economic development will not happen.
Yeah.
The quality of life of people will be curbed for this kind of things. So the only way to do it is to mitigate the impact as much as possible. Now, for mitigation, India did try quite a few things. In the recent years, you must have heard about FGDs. They had put in FGDs to control the sulfur emissions in the coal.
Right.
But fortunately for us, now this is now on the way out, because Niti Aayog has also questioned the whole thing. Our coal is not high on sulfur. It's high on ash. Okay. Imported coal is high on sulfur in some cases. Now, the share of imported coal in the total coal consumption is now reducing because Indian coal sector is increasing fast.
Correct.
Because of commercial mining, because of Coal India growing at a faster pace and all that. So there is a displacement of imported coal. So therefore, we need not bother too much about sulfur. And therefore, FGDs are not required. They're unnecessarily expensive, adds to the investment cost and adds to the power cost. So the basic thing is ash, NOx, and a little bit of SOx and P2.5. These are the basic pollution in the coal sector, in the usage of, particularly in the usage. Of course, even mining, transportation, usage, all three sectors, there is a need for mitigation. But usage is the more important one.
Correct.
And we are putting in good technologies like high efficiency, low emission, HELE. They call HELE, HELE technology for power generation, which can be supported if the coal quality is consistent, low ash. all that. So Indian coal, unfortunately, is poor in quality. It is high ash in general. 35-40% ash is normal. So therefore, the only way to handle this is to go for large-scale coal washing. Large-scale coal washing is the only answer. And we have to set up that kind of washings. We didn't have proper technology for that till some time back. Now, fortunately, we have set up a coal washery, a 10 million ton large-size coal washery in Mahanadi Coalfields. And that, that particular washery is state-of-the-art. It is low on water consumption, power consumption. The yield is very good. And the rejects that come out of that particular washery is only useful for landfilling. It cannot be used for any kind of generation. If the rejects can be used for generation, then all kinds of corruption comes in. I mean, then it becomes a problem. So this technology is perfect. And we have to now multiply and scale it up as fast as possible. The moment you do that, the moment you use coal after washing, you are reducing the environmental impact very, very significantly. Studies have been conducted at some scientific institutions which show very clearly that not only reduction of ash, there's a substantial reduction of SOx, NOx, P2.5, all these ingredients in the coal that comes out as washed coal. So I think going for large-scale washing of coal and using only washed coal is the answer.
Will make a difference.
Is the answer.
Very well said. But, given the importance that you have just placed on coal as a source of energy for our country, and also understanding that we only have about 30 years of coal left in our country, how can we as a nation optimize our vast coal reserves to ensure energy security for a much longer period of time?
I would say the problem is the other way around.
Okay.
We don't have 30 years. We have about 100 years of coal left.
I see. Okay.
And much before coal will cease to be there, our reserves will remain.
I see.
Our end date is 2070. That's our year for net zero. And by that time, coal consumption will come down to near nil, near zero. But we'll be still left with a huge quantity of coal.
Okay.
So the question is, how much of coal can be used? The Chinese planning is very wonderful. You see, China has reserves which is hardly 10% more than India. But their production today is 4 billion tons. So they are going to exhaust most of the coal reserves by 2060. And they would have got all the benefits of this low-cost development strategy. By the time they end, the coal deposits will also be gone. But ours is not that case. We are still at 1 billion tons. We have plans to increase it, and maybe if the pathway goes all right and if we can mitigate the impact so that we are protected from the headwinds, we should be able to reach somewhere around 2 billion tons by 2040 or so. But after that, we can continue for till 2070. There is no problem. There's no problem. We'll have enough resources.
Very interesting. And is there an opportunity for India, given the amount of knowledge we have and the fact that you said that the only other major country is China, is there an opportunity for India to lead in clean coal technology development?
Well, I won't say that India can be a leader in that because unfortunately, you see, Indian coal is not very fit for clean coal technology. You require low ash. So unless we are confidently creating low ash coal through washing and test that coal for coal combustion, clean coal technology for coal carbonization and things like that, gasification and things like that, and establish coal gasification after coal washing to be a viable kind of an operation, just to be viable also. Otherwise, no commercial thing will not happen.
Right.
So if that is done, then India could be somewhere in between, but not a leader. I would any day think that China could be a leader because Chinese coal is of good quality, better quality. Chinese coal is largely underground. And underground coal is usually of high quality. There is a chance of mixture with overburden is not there because it's not open cast. So India, I don't think can aspire to be a leader in clean coal technology, but it can be a player in clean coal technology once it sorts out these basic issues. The coal that is used for coal gasification, etc., should not have ash beyond a certain point, which can happen only if coal is washed. So if today very, very little quantity of thermal coal is being washed. So once we reach a stage where 90% of coal is supplied after washing, then only we can aspire to start coal gasification in a big way and become a significant player. But I don't think India can be a leader on a global scale.
But just one clarifying question, sir. You said China's coal is underground.
Yeah.
Isn't our coal underground also? Very layman question.
No, absolutely perfect question. You see, our coal is always underground.
Right.
The only thing is, we are more experienced in open cast mining.
I see.
Because our coal is not very deep, number one. And the kind of pressure we had to increase coal production faster, that to do that in underground coal mining is very difficult.
Okay.
So that's why open cast has come. The other thing is the geomining condition. Chinese coal seams are long stretched, continuous kind of seams where, latest kind of intensive coal mining technology like longwall mining in a big way, powered support longwall, etc., can come in a big scale. Our coal is fragmented. I mean, there's a lot of what you call faults. At every certain distance, there's a fault. There's an up throw or a down throw. The coal seam goes like this and suddenly becomes like this or suddenly becomes like that. So if that happens, you see, you have to stop mining at that stage. Again, move the equipment either up or down. That actually reduces the productivity in a big way. So we have not attempted too many large mines in underground. Whereas in open cast, we have even 50 million ton mines.
I see. Very interesting. I have time for two more questions for you, sir. My next question is, what are some of the untapped opportunities in the coal sector that India should focus on in the next decade?
I think, again, I'm looking at the whole issue from the point of view of mitigating or addressing the concerns of the rest of the world on India following this kind of a growth strategy, coal-based growth strategy.
Yeah.
If we look at that, we need to really refocus and try to aspire to increase the share of underground production. But that underground production cannot be the kind of underground production we have been doing all these decades. Those are low productivity, very less mechanized, intermediate mechanization and all that. We have to go for mechanized underground mines in a big. So actually, I'm happy to say that Coal India has taken up that kind of an ambitious program. It's trying to move into underground because the moment you go underground, your pollution problems come down very significantly because everything is left there. You just take out the coal. So, that is one effort that India should be making. At least see that the share of underground, which is now only 5 to 6%, can come up to something around 10 to 15% or 20% over a period of time. If that is done, then that will be a good pathway. And also in open casting, of course, that is something which has been done. In open casting, instead of using blasting, excavators and dumpers and all that, those are all highly polluting kind of things.
Yeah.
If you go for more and more surface miners just cut the coal without any blasting. They just cut the coal. And I'm happy to say that the share of surface mine coal in open cast mines of India, particularly Coal India, has rapidly increased. And that has actually helped reducing the coal production in underground, pollution in underground mining or sand, dust, etc. That share has gone up to close to 50%.
Wow.
It used to be 5-10%, maybe 2 decades back.
Amazing. And my last question for you, sir. Do you foresee a global coalition among coal-dependent nations to address shared challenges like climate action and energy security?
Very much. It's required because, you see, there's a lot of misunderstanding. Coal is accused sometimes out of proportion. It is not commensurate to the problem they create. Even oil creates problem, gas creates problem, any fossil fuel creates problems. But coal is blamed a little too much, more than the share. I think one reason is that gas, etc., looks better. Coal looks black. So people don't like black things. Yeah. So maybe that is the reason. But fortunately, this kind of an alliance is already there. There's a body called World Coal Organization, WCO. And that's a fairly vocal body. It has all the big nations, coal-dependent nations in its fold. They hold conferences, etc., and try to educate people on the fact that, first of all, coal mining is not an environmental hazard. It's not an environmental problem. The problem is coal usage. So if you do mining with a focus on allowing good technology to be used for coal usage, and coal usage is done based on this HELE kind of technology, I think the whole problem is reduced to a large extent.
Right.
So we cannot give up coal, because coal is a source of energy. It is one of the cheapest source of energy. And the countries where it happens are largely, poor countries. I mean, not very developed countries. Of course, there are developed countries also where you have coal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, coal usage cannot be stopped just like that.
Correct.
It has to continue for a few more decades.
Correct.
But how to mitigate the negative impact of coal mining usage, etc., that should be addressed parallel to its increasing consumption or commensurate to its increasing consumption. If that is done, then I don't see too much of a problem.
But one more related question I wanted to ask you. One of the things that is also often spoken about coal is the tremendous reliance on human beings who have to go deep underground and mine. Sometimes maybe not in very conducive conditions. With the advent of so much technology and robotics, do you see that as an opportunity to be able to go much deeper and make it much more efficient?
Well, yes, to an extent, definitely yes. But other than that, bigger problem is that you cannot avoid human beings in mining. See, it cannot be entirely given to robotics. In some areas, maybe yes. But more important than that is to ensure that the conditions of working are safe and there is no health hazard.
Right. Correct.
And I must say that a lot of effort keeps on happening in that direction.
Yes.
The rate of accidents, etc., have come down drastically.
Dramatically, absolutely.
So I think we are there. I mean, we are addressing the fallout of coal mining being a labor-intensive operation by protecting the labor from health hazard, from safety issues, trying to give them good livelihood, trying to give them a very decent salary. Coal miners get one of the best salaries in this country.
Right.
At least the organized miners.
Yeah.
Even the contract miners, we are liberalizing gradually. We are trying to ensure that the contractors pay them proper salaries, good salaries. And so overall, the livelihood of the people engaged in coal mining is improving.
Very interesting. And on that note, sir, I just want to say thank you so much for speaking to me. I think you've given me and our viewers and listeners a very, very new and different perspective on coal. I learned several new things, including the fact that there is over 100 years of coal available in our country. Somehow or the other, the majority of the people who think that coal is not something which we should be moving away from, but clearly you've said that it is a part because it is one of the cheapest sources of energy for our country, and for an energy-hungry country like India, coal will continue to be a very significant contributor to India's energy needs. Thank you for speaking to me, sir, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.